All right, so this is part 2 of the factoring by grouping video for Math 1B. I would just pause the video and see if you can figure this out on your own. All right, so let's see if you guys did it correctly. The first thing that I would do in this situation is I would try to match up the 14x squared with the 7x because, right off the top of my head, I know that 14 divided by 7 is 2. And I also know that 4x and 2 go together way more easily. So it's just a quick rearranging of things using the commutative property to flip them around. It is not always necessary, but again, I think it's a good idea. So what we do now is we say, let's group these two together, and we ask ourselves, what do they both share? Well, we just talked about how 14 divided by 7 was 2, so 14 divides 7, and 7 divides 7. So 7 is going to be the first component of the greatest common factor. All right, so I'm dividing by the greatest common factor to determine what's inside the leftover group. So again, that's why I'm creating this division here. So you're dividing by the GCF. X squared and x both contain an x. So that's also a part of the GCF. All right, so the greatest common factor of these two terms is 7x. I pull it out of that group, and then I divide by 7x to determine what remains inside the parentheses. So what remains inside the parentheses? 14 divided by 7, 2. X squared divided by x, x. 7x divided by itself, 1. And we've got our first group factored. Second group. This one's pretty basic, I think. Your GCF seems to be a positive 2 right off the bat. And then there's really nothing else that it shares. So once you find your GCF, you divide both terms by the GCF to determine the leftovers inside the parentheses. 4x divided by 2 is 2x. 2 divided by itself is 1. Remember, you're supposed to get identical twins here. All right? That's not just some weird anomaly that occurs. And then finally, your last move is going to be the greatest common factors go in a group together to create one set of the final factored version. So 7x plus 2, that's your first, I guess we can call it a binomial. It's a two-term polynomial. And then the 2x plus 1 kind of combines as one factor here. And again, I would think of it as 7x multiplied by the second group, positive 2 multiplied by the second group. The whole reverse process should be starting to take hold in your brain. If it's not quite yet though, just make sure you're trying to match up with what I'm doing and doing similar techniques for solving it. Oh, and show your work like this, please. All right, one more example. So we've got 3ab plus, you know what, I'm going to see if I need to move anything right off the bat. No, I think we got a good order here. You got a 3ab and a 9a squared. 5b squared and a 15ab. So if we look at this first group right here, 3ab, 9a squared, the GCF is 3a. Now I divide by the GCF to get my leftovers. These cancel and you're left with a b. 9 over 3 is positive 3. A squared over a is just a. And you've got 3a times b plus 3a. Looking at our second group, 5 goes into 15 3 times. So a positive 5 starts out our GCF here. B squared and b, you can take one of those out. So when we extract the 5b from this group, we're dividing by 5b to determine the leftovers inside. So 5 divided by 5 is 1. B squared divided by B is B. So 1B, I'm just going to write down B. And then 15 over 5 is 3. B over B is 1. And then you're left with an A. Oh, what a surprise! B plus 3A. Actually, no. There was no surprise there. We were supposed to get the same thing both times, because then it allows us to move one step backward in that polynomial multiplication process, right? That's what factoring is. It's the reverse of polynomial multiplication. The GCFs get their own group. So 3A plus 5B the groups of GCFs, and then B plus 3A is going to be the other. All right, hopefully this is helpful for you guys with factoring by grouping. Keep working hard. We're probably down to our last handful of assignments, all right? Probably 3, maybe 4 more of these videos that you guys will see, and small problem sets like you have earlier. Keep in mind that the homework that I'm giving you guys you've got a pretty good resource here, because I'm giving you fully completed solutions to look off of. So try not to ignore this fact, because sometimes I get responses from people where you guys are giving me answers that don't look at all like what the video talked about or like the answer keys that I shared. So yeah, when you're doing your homework, check out the answers for the odd solutions on this one so that you can do the evens with relative ease. All right? So that's all I got to say about that. Hopefully these videos were helpful and you guys knocked this thing out of the park. All right. See ya.